Welcome to Vanishing Gates. I'm Jay, and these are...
The Smoky Jack.
My bones are out. Kitty cat.
I can see your bones.
See my bones.
I'm not going to touch any of that. How was your guys this week?
It was a week.
Yeah.
I would honestly, it's pretty good. Father-in-law came to visit.
Bad. Yeah.
You said in-laws and good in the same sentence.
Yeah, I like my brother-in-law. He's a nice guy. Came up. It was fun.
Okay.
Said hi.
Okay, then.
Trying to think of anything else that happened. Yeah, I got better at Fortnite. I don't
brag
suck
about
half
that.
as much as I used to last week.
Okay, he's bragging about Fortnite now. Anyway, so we're continuing our series of the Appalachian stuff, whichever, however you want to say it.
Appalachian.
This is our last episode on this series for now. Thank God, because it's run its course. Let's be real.
A
What?
little bit.
I want to say real quick, I don't know if I should do it at the end of the episode or not, but you should definitely check out your gaming channel, especially since I think we're going to do a weekly thing where we do brother versus brother in Call of Duty.
Yeah, we're going to do it tonight, though. I got something else going on.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we'll get into that later. So, continuing on our Appalachian story, we're on something that has been brought up many, many, many times. So, in Red River, now called Adams, Tennessee, Frederick and Kate Batts and their 5 children lived in a small farm. Franklin somehow ended up, I said Franklin, his name's Frederick, somehow ended up paralyzed. Why did I write Franklin in there, like a little turtle? Somehow ended up paralyzed. It's like a little turtle that Beyonce plagiarized from. Somehow ended up paralyzed.
What?
You didn't know that?
Hold on, what do you mean?
Beyonce's country music song she ripped off from the Franklin theme.
Really?
Yes.
No way. Really?
I'll show you after this. Look it up. Trust me.
That's
Just
funny.
Google it on the YouTube.
Trust
Look
me,
it up
bro.
on the YouTubes. Anyway, so Frederick somehow ended up paralyzed, and Kate had to take over as a breadwinner for the family. She apparently wasn't very good at it because they were dirt freaking poor.
God damn it.
Yeah, so Kate was described... Kate. Always a Kate.
Always
trouble.
the case.
She was described as rough and tumble lady and very eccentric, and that kind of garnered her a bit of a reputation. An ill repute, if you will. Kind of like the neighbor lady who vacuums her grass or tries to bite her own ears all the time. You know the type.
Yeah, but the people who are vacuuming the grass only do it to watch the police. Those are my favorite videos of all time.
Katie, your name's Katie. It's close enough to Kate. Try to bite your own ears so we can see.
No.
Rude.
Yeah,
Not
and I
often.
hate when people call me Kate.
Oh, I know. So that's
Mm.
actually a fun story because
Pisses
the
me off.
first time I really
Yeah.
spoke to you, I
Let me
thought
turn
your
off
name
my
was Kate.
ringer
You got mad
volume
at me.
real quick. Sorry about that.
She got all
Yeah,
sorts of.
One of the
mean-
first times the first time I met you, or one
The
of the
first time we actually
times,
talked,
Yeah, you're like Kate, and I was like,
I went, Kate?
that's not my name.
And you're like, it's not Kate. It's Katie. And there was like daggers coming out of her eyes and like snake tongue and flames and
No.
yeah.
Jeez.
Anyway, so Kate, not to be confused with Katie, seemed to be a bit of an attention seeker, and she certainly earned the Karen Award. She would just bitch at everyone for anything. Like if your kids were playing in the park, they're doing it wrong. She's gonna complain. You know that's not what happened. That's
They have
just
parks
how
back
it
then?
is. We ran into a Karen today at the watering hole. It was quite interesting. Wasn't this person? This is many, many years ago, a couple hundred ago. So she bitched about everything and everybody, and anything she could find the slightest thing to complain about. But she also was just very loud to everyone in general. You know that annoying person at the bar that you see or at church who just, oh my gosh, how are you? One of those. I don't know why I did that voice.
Yeah,
but-
I do know a few.
Oh yeah.
I do know
Too
a
many.
few, Yeah.
Some of them have French accents. Anyway, they're very loud and boisterous.
Yeah.
And, you know, but she was doing this without the help of liquor, apparently, because she was too poor to afford it. Which back then, in the 1800s, was pretty impressive if you were too poor to afford liquor.
Yeah, because
Yeah, liquor is like the easiest thing to get. It's
liquor
easier than
was
water.
like
It was the water of
everybody-
the time.
people probably drink liquor more than they drink water.
They absolutely did, because liquor wouldn't just kill you, water would just kill you. You'd end up pooping your organs out for
You
6
die of
weeks.
dysentery.
You've died of dysentery. I wish I would have had that as a card for here. So Kate seemed to be a bit of a attention seeker, like I said, and she just was very eccentric and boisterous. And that behavior, some of the weird shit she would do, led everyone to think of her as a witch. And
I don't think that's what led them to think. Wrong
well,
letter.
I think they telephone gamed it and misunderstood bitch. Is what I actually wrote down, and it kind of morphed into witch. But she would do crazy shit like beg every woman she came across for a pin, which in witchcraft could mean anything from healing stuff to hurting stuff or controlling people. Most of the stuff I saw when I looked up the witchcraft stuff that I've actually seen, it talks about healing, but to each their own, I guess. A lot of folks back then, I guess, figured it would give a witch control over, you or some other mumbo jumbo BS. And if anyone is offended by me saying mumbo jumbo in reference to witchcraft, I have tried many times to get fucking witches on this show as guests to talk about your practices and beliefs and to give your side of the story. No takers. No one takes me seriously. I swear to God, it's just like the letters I send to Sean Connery.
Isn't Sean Connery dead?
Anyway.
Oh my God.
I mean, that is the manliest pose ever.
Little Zardoz there for you.
Wow.
A little
Look at
Zardoz.
The
I even
original
made
Razzie.
comments about Zardoz to get Mr. Connery's behavior,
I believe
but he would not contact me.
He's dead!
Listen, the gun is good, the penis is evil. The penis shoots seed and makes new life to poison the earth with the plague of man, as at once the gun shoots death and purifies the earth of the filth of Barbrutals.
What the fuck was that? Are you okay?
I'm scared.
I'm afraid now.
I'm
I don't know what's
scared.
happening. Why are we talking? Did you know
You guys
Zardoz?
don't get that reference at all, do you?
Your
Wasn't
face is so
Zardoz like the
red.
original Razzie Award?
Yes.
They won the first Razzie.
So, in case anyone's wondering,
I've
This
never
is-
seen that movie.
this is Sean Connery in his greatest film ever,
I've never seen
Zardoz. This is Zardoz.
That's Zardoz.
That's Zardoz?
This is Zardoz. Zardoz, if you've seen any Rick and Morty, you might be familiar with a little bit, because the Gazorpazorpian episode was based on Zardoz. Just a little fun fact there. Google Zardoz. I didn't make this up, and that line I didn't make up. I misquoted it a little
That
bit.
was kind of scary.
I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so John Jack Bell and his family.
Little intense.
That
Little
was a little
tense.
intense.
Little intensity in 10 cities.
John-
John from Budokai.
John, or Jack Bell, and his family moved to Red River in the early
You
1800s.
didn't get the reference.
I didn't care. And purchased a large log house and land and started
It
farming.
was a Wayne's World reference.
I know. As years went by, he continued to acquire land the size of like 328 acres worth. And John and his wife Lucy would go on to have like 9 kids. Children, Jesse, Betsy, Richard, John Jr., Drury, I swear to God, Benjamin Esser, Zadok, not to be confused
With
with
Zardoz.
Zardoz.
Wow.
I didn't even think of that. That's great. And
It
Joel.
rolls right back around.
And Joel, or whatever the fuck other name Wikipedia made up with their AI, because there's no way people name their fucking kids any of those things outside of the first couple. So
They were all-
Brewery.
They were all named like Eli and Steve, and that was it. All
Anyway,
the boys.
this episode's getting my blood pressure. up,
Eli
man.
1, Steve 2. That was the name.
Now, John had married and started knocking up old Lucy way before old could be applied. She was 12 when they got married. So whatever happens to John, foreshadowing maybe,
Oh.
he probably deserved it.
I'm
just saying.
That's the actual fucking thing that happened there.
Anyway,
Oh my God.
those weren't invented yet, sadly.
Damn it.
Anyhow, he went on to be a successful farmer and an elder at the Red River Baptist Church, so I guess everything's fine, right?
He's doing better than Dr. Disrespect.
God.
Oh, God.
Did you see the thing about him? It's like he went from PDF to,
Yeah.
to DOC to .pdf.
I saw a video of him
Dot, dot,
earlier
dot,
where he
dot.
was live streaming and
Mm.
he was like on live stream and looked at his phone and
Oh.
realized that his career was like gone.
It's because
That
And
was
he
the
started
Twitch ban.
crying.
That was when he got Twitch banned. That
no,
was
no, no,
before.
Started
no, no,
crying.
no. I know what happened. What happened was his company that he made with his friends, like he
Yeah,
was
Midnight,
co-founder.
yeah, Midnight
Society
Society.
texted him during that thing.
Yeah.
Said,
Told him,
"Yeah,
"Oh,
you're
we're,
out.
we're done, bro.
You're done."
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, we voted.
I've
you
already
out.
talked about this
He
on the
started
gaming stream.
sniffling, I'll just say that.
Oh, it was bad. So, anyway, reeling it back, in
Mm-hmm.
1817, enough of the creepy kid touchers.
Yeah.
In 1870, John Boy was out in his cornfield and came
Well,
across
I thought you said we weren't going to talk about the creepy kid touchers anymore.
Anyway, so John Sr., I guess, was out in his field of corn, as one has,
Corn.
corn,
Corn.
and came across. Why did that happen? I should have put a corn gif up there or something. Dancing corn in the corn.
Corn with a K?
No freaks on leashes. He's about to find a freak off a leash, though, and came across an odd-looking animal. He said it had the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. And as one does with things we're unfamiliar with, he opened fire on it, because America.
That is exactly the answer to anything you don't recognize, is open fire.
Now, he shot at the thing a few times, but it got away. The funny part of all this is, he didn't think anything of it. But that was after he unloaded his gun at it. He's like, oh, I didn't think anything about it. That was until later that night when the family started hearing something beating on the walls of their home. The beating sounds continued night after night with no one. They couldn't find anyone that did it. John and his boys would run outside and try to find it. No sign of anyone around. But someone was beating on the walls of that log cabin. And the Mormons weren't a thing back then in that part of the country. And no one was selling cable internet.
Not a single person looking to check on
No one's pounding on your door.
They weren't going to check on the extended warranty of the car or nothing.
Nothing, man. We're way before those times.
No Tupperware salesmen.
Maybe some snake oil salespeople, but no one was there. So that night, I just read my own notes again because I'm special. After a few weeks, the kids would find themselves awakened in the middle of the night. And they thought rats were chewing on the posts of their beds. So the noise, the gnawing sounds would wake them up.
Yeah.
Which one
Yikes.
would be awakened by if something, I keep saying awakened.
Awoken.
Awakened.
Awakened. Christopher Walken.
They woke up. And there was stuff chewing on their bedposts. And then pillows and blankets and sheets would start getting ripped off the bed while they slept and keeping them awake. Some unseen entity would just yank and pull and throw the shit all over the house. And the kids couldn't sleep because that's disturbing to your sleep. Obviously.
Very, yeah.
Any thoughts on when that happens to you guys? Does that happen normally?
No.
You had to think about that. That worries me. As time went on further, the family would start hearing an old woman's voice, like a sickly old woman's voice. Sounded to them like she was singing hymns, like old church songs, but they couldn't quite make out what it was being said because it was so quiet. And things actually escalated and got worse. Betsy, their daughter, started being physically attacked by the unseen entity and the unseen force. It would slap her, it would leave welts on her and handprints on her and pull her hair. And I was going to make a joke about Katie here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to behave myself. It's too easy. Low-hanging fruit. Any thoughts on all this part?
Jeez.
Not the joke part, but like the abuse of the entity at hand.
That cigar just abused me.
Much like the entity? Okay. So there's been a lot of other cases like that, poltergeist-ish activity where people get abused by spirits.
I do kind of have a thought on it, which is...
Well, then share it when I ask.
Like...
Duh.
Anyways, it's more than likely that
Anyway.
that person was probably just being abused by parents.
No, this is paranormal. We're talking
else.
about paranormal here. We're not talking about what really happened.
Oh.
When we're talking about what really happened. We're not talking about the possibilities yet.
It was definitely a ghost.
It was
They shot at her rabbit dog, and therefore, you must beat up the children.
Yeah, old women have rabbit dogs everywhere.
Rabbit dog or rabid dog?
Rabbit.
It was a rabbit head in a dog's body, is what he saw in the
Oh.
field that he shot at.
Which meant nothing to
How
him.
did you not hear it the first time I said it? You were still, I know why. You were still thinking about what everybody else is thinking about right now.
I was. I was thinking about some young Sean Connery.
Man.
His hairiness.
Mr. Universe himself. Look at
Damn.
that bulge. Anyway, kids, don't look at that bulge. Anyhow, it was at this point that John opened up to his friend and his neighbor, James Johnston. Obviously, his friend was really skeptical at first.
These are some of the most basic ass names.
I feel like AI generated this entire story and just went
Right.
back in time to inject it into the common
It might
story.
have.
James Johnston.
With AI, how it is now.
John Johnson was friends with James Johnston, who was buddies with Jimmy Jim Johnson's.
One of those guys makes sausage.
And James
Anyway,
and Jim and John and Jack and...
somewhere in there, there's a Bocephus.
Yeah.
But so James and his wife stayed the night at the Bell House. And the night they stayed, most of the day was fine until it got later at night. Things started going south to the point where they were experiencing all the stuff the family was experiencing. And James was even slapped in the face by an unseen, like a hand that you couldn't see. said it felt like somebody slapped him in the face. He hopped out of bed and demanded in the Lord's name, however he said it. There's a quote somewhere, and I have no idea how they got the direct quote from this man. I don't know if Zach Bagans was there filming when it happened.
I was personally not in town at that point.
I hope he was.
Calm down with the slapping and Zach Bagans.
Oh my God.
That was a joke I could have made
I like
right
Zach
there.
Bagans.
No. Anyway.
Anyways.
Muscly arms. Get your ass over here,
piece of
muscly
love.
arms.
Back here, muscly arms.
Anyway.
Bro.
So James Johnson, after getting slapped in the face, was, "Bro,
Oh
who
my
are
God,
you?
bro.
What do you want?
What do you want from
The
me?
fuck, homie?
Do you want to fight?" But then he got no response
down,
because
bitch.
the ghost wasn't having any of that Jersey Shore looking crap.
Step up.
All my
Step
life,
up.
I've been searching.
I'm gonna get my boy Jimmy, my buddy John, my buddy Colt, my Bocephus.
So
Oh
Johnston,
my God.
after getting no response, claimed it was some kind of evil spirit, like one in the Bible, because an evil spirit anywhere else
Does make sense.
just isn't the same. You have to have the genuine biblical ghost, monster, creature, evil spirit for Mr. Johnston to take you seriously, which he apparently did. So the dismembered wrong word,
voice.
disembodied voice eventually got stronger and clearer, quoting the Bible, singing, and even communicating back and forth with the bells intelligently, which, if you've read your Bible, there's a real good reason to believe if it's evil spirit, it probably won't be quoting the Bible, just saying, or singing hymns, or anything else.
Really?
Yes. And even communicating back and forth with the bells intelligently anyway. Supposedly it even quoted word for word 2 sermons given the same day, 13 miles apart, at 2 different churches, which is 100% totally an honest account, I'm sure. Because it can totally prove that happened with all the recordings they had of sermons given back then. They just got on that church's social media page and synced it up to the entity saying it.
And going 13 miles back then was super easy.
If you haven't been to a Facebook church meeting, you are missing out. There should be a YouTube channel dedicated, I should copyright this before I say it, but I don't care, dedicated to just grabbing those videos in one corner and just talking over them.
Facebook
Mystery
church
Science
meeting?
Theater style. Yeah, they have like cameras now in most churches, and they actually will put it on
it's
social
like a
media
live
so you can
feed.
watch it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. For people that don't actually want to go to church.
Which is literally the only
They just
way
wanna
you
sit
could
at
have
home.
proven that. Oh, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do the minimum for Jesus. I want a shirt that says
Hey,
that.
I'm watching a live stream of a service. I'm going to church, right?
No, I don't have to give anything in the tithe. It's perfect. I don't have to give an offering. I'm not even there.
I can just sit here,
I'm tithing in
naked,
spirit.
Be at church.
What are you, Catholic?
I attend
Or
church
in my
every...
pajamas.
Listen here, St. Peter, I attend church every week.
Look, I get
You
naked
were
for
naked
the
in front of
Lord.
your camera.
Actually,
I get naked for Jesus.
there was a church worship leader at a church I used to attend that would tell us, he would talk to the prayer group I was part of for the Bible study I taught, and he would say, hey, what I like to do is I get alone with the Lord, and I get face down naked in front of God, and I just pray. I just pray buck naked in front of, and he would just really emphasize the buck naked part of that.
Just
conversation.
naked,
Just bum
I
naked.
swear to God, it's like I said, you stand in front of St. Peter, I went to church every week. But you
Look.
were on the computer. You think we didn't see the other window with naughty nuns?
I'm pretty sure the dude did not keep things crimped and proper. To me, that seems rude to go to the Lord with a bush. I don't know. The Lord went to us in a bush.
It's
God
really
said, like, could you just trim that a tiny bit? Like, what are you doing?
It's
God
rude
came
to
down
go
in a
to the
flaming
Lord
bush.
naked.
God just sitting there like,
He sees you naked.
I made them wear
Just like
loincloths.
Just like Santa, God sees you naked. That'd be a great
He
t-shirt.
sees you when you're sleeping.
God's like, you know why I gave you clothes? So I didn't have to see this shit anymore.
All right, back to business here. In 1819, Jesus.
In 1918.
In 1819, President Andrew Jackson, who wasn't president then, he was a major general,
I am
got
a major
wind.
general.
No, got wind of the haunting. Now, 3 of John's sons had served under General Jackson back then in the Battle of New Orleans, or any other derivative you want to say. Nolans is some people say.
Nolans.
But he heard about it and he wanted to figure out what was troubling the family of 3 of his troops. So he went to go investigate. And as Jackson's wagon and his men, he came in with a whole squad of folk, And they approached the house. The wagon, a big ass wagon, it just stopped. It just jolted to a stop and got stuck in a creek bed. And at first it seemed like it was just stuck in mud, but even after everyone tried to unstick it, they couldn't move it. And Jackson shouted, "It must be the Bell Witch." Because by then the rumors had gone around and they were already calling it a witch because it was having intelligent communication, which I'm not capable of at this moment. After he said that, suddenly a woman's voice told Jackson they would finally be allowed to proceed now, but she would visit them again later that night.
Sorry.
So they camped out behind the house in their tents. They all pitched a tent out there. And Jackson's group had a witch hunter with them, which is totally a 100% real thing. And he had a magic silver bullet, and he said that whatever spirit it is will be scared of the silver bullet in his gun because unseen entities that you can't shoot will obviously be hit when you can't see your target. I guess the dude has aimbot. Fucking all right.
In real life.
Just have
Yeah.
like
In real life.
a box shows up where it is, and he's just like, huh, I can see you.
But
You're using wall hacks!
But what happened then is the witch hunter, as he's proclaiming this, apparently an unseen foot kicked him square in his freaking balls, flooring him, kicked him right in the dick, and just knocked him down. And a voice, the same female voice, said, "Oh, this fraud, there's another fraud in the midst with you guys, not just this guy. And I'll tell you who it is later," basically, is what she said, before being quiet for the rest of the night. So Andrew Jackson at this point is like, I want to know who the other fraud in my group is. And I don't know why he was so worried about a fraud in his group, because nothing ever come from this at all that I could find.
So who's fraud?
It was just a cliffhanger for no follow-up season because the writers quit. There was a strike and they canceled the series, and you don't get your next season. I'm sorry. That's what it is. Welcome to Hollyweird.
So we don't get to know who the fraud was?
No, it never says. But Jackson, insistent upon staying while everybody else is begging him to go, says, "No, we're going to stay here. We're not going anywhere. I'm Andrew Jackson. I will never bend to anything, especially the Federal Reserve and the bankers. And oh, wait, I did that too when I become president in a few years." Anyway, the next day he was in Springfield, another town nearby. He left that place in a hurry, so he didn't do what he was supposed to do either, said he was going to do. So we never know what happened there. So great open hole to this story, guys.
Thanks, Andrew Jackson.
You had 200 years to come up with an answer to this question, Internet. Zach Bagans, what the hell, man? Where were you for this?
Right?
I mean, I'm
Slacking.
just sounds like maybe Andrew Jackson was the fraud, and she was just like, hey, it's you, so you better move.
So after a while, instead of Betsy being tormented the most, because she was the one getting her ass kicked by the spirit and her hair pulled, things turned to John directly. And it got pretty bad. Like, the entity would continually promise to kill him, to make him dead, no longer of this earth. She would do
Strap off the
shit
mortal
like
coil?
slap him and cuss him all over the farm, referring to him as Old Jack Bell. She nicknamed him Jack and
Do the
cuss
dance
about him.
macabre?
Yeah, the light fandango, I guess. She would do shit like try to take his shoes off while he was walking, which just seems really more annoying than
What
murderous.
the hell?
What a
How
weird
would you
flex.
even do that?
What a weird. Could you imagine? That would be my superpower if I could do that.
You're
Just
like
take off
down on the
people's
ground, like
shoes.
trying to untie their shoes
Just
while
like
they're walking.
just take it off while they're walking. Just like move my hand and their shoes come off.
That's funny.
You know how annoying that would make people?
You're gonna die now!
You're gonna get out of my
You're gonna
line.
Trip.
I don't want to wait for groceries. You move over and let me go first. Your shoes are coming off every time you try to step. I'd be at the front of the line everywhere, man. Wouldn't pay taxes anymore. I'd be running the state. Wouldn't have any. Everyone would be watching this show,
That'd be a cool
Or
superpower.
your shoes would be off.
and their shoes would be off.
Your shoes would be
Now-
removed. Do it!
On December 19th, 1820, that was so stupid, John slipped into a coma that lasted a day before he died. Upon his, I know you guys thought for a second there when I paused that he might come out of it. No! Spoilers, he's dead.
Fuck, that dude died.
No, he died. He's been dead a couple hundred years now. Upon his death, the family found a weird vial of black liquid in the cupboard. And John Jr. took it out and as one does, he put it on the cat's tongue, because that makes a lot of sense.
On the cat's tongue?
Apparently the cat was pissing him off, or he thought it was
hell?
kibbles and bits.
That's
I don't
not
know. So the cat jumped
Where's
in the
PETA in
air.
all this?
They didn't exist,
Right.
thank God.
Shooting rabbit dogs.
Lucky them.
Animal
So
abuse.
Poison cats.
the cat jumps in the air and it rolls over and falls on its back, just dead, just stone dead. And
So it was poison.
yeah, so the entity yells out, "I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night, which fixed him." And that was a quote I found. I didn't come up with that myself, Internet. Don't start with me. But you can put your comments down below. We want to hear what you have to say.
So
Especially if you want to see more of what everyone wants to see.
this is
You knew what this was.
this is
You knew exactly what this was. Anyway, What?
Oh my god.
this ghost story is the dumbest ghost story ever created by a person. Like it's not
crazy
even
shit is,
interesting.
we're not even done yet, and everyone knows about this story because of Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and like
Well, the Bell Witch.
the haunting.
They did.
Yeah, the haunting of the Bell Witch haunting, which was definitely someone penned a bunch of that.
The Bell Witch got really bored and just decided to screw with someone.
So, John, after the cat deaded, took the vial and threw it.
Deaded.
Yeah, threw it in the fireplace, and a huge blue flame shot out. And I'm sure there's a chemist out there who can tell us exactly what's in that vial just based on that information. Anyway, during John's funeral, it was one of the largest ones in the area at that time,
Maybe it
or
was
ever, I guess, in that area. Those in attendance would hear, like as they were leaving, the Bell Witch laughing and singing loudly, a bunch of boisterous, drunken melodies, and singing. It just wouldn't stop until like the last mourners had left the cemetery. Which I'm sure there's an easy way to verify that when all the mourners left the freaking cemetery. Who comes up with these stories with all these untied ends? Loose ends. I was so mad when I was doing the research for this. I couldn't even come up with loose ends.
What?
Apparently we still know what happens in cemeteries. Like if a tree falls in the forest,
Doesn't make a
does
sound.
anyone hear it?
Well, I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure that
No, because no one's there.
No one hears it, but it does make a sound.
Well, so maybe the singing kept going. How do we not know? Well, maybe the mourners were just the ones that left, and the people working there still heard it. I don't know. Maybe the people working at the cemetery didn't give two flying shits, or half the party at the cemetery were like people that he owed money to, and they were waiting around to shit on his grave. I don't know. And they're like singing along with it and having a merry old time, like that scene in Jaws when they're under. Show me how to get home. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know, man. Drunken she shanties. She shanties.
She
I can't even
shed.
say that.
She sells.
This is a tongue tire today,
down
man.
by the seashore.
So, the entity at some point had left Betsy alone. See, what happened was she had gotten engaged to this guy named Joshua. He was a married guy. Probably not the best decision on her part. And after John's funeral, things had started getting quite quieter. I think that the timeline here is kind of hard to find. I think it left Betsy alone first, and then John died, but I couldn't really find the timeline. So, whatever. But the Betsy situation continued until she broke off her engagement with the Joshua guy, because, you know.
Wow, it's just a bad decision.
Yeah. So the thing about this Bell Witch, you'll start looking back. A lot of weird stuff with it. It's mean to some things, but like conversational and not mean to others. Like it really didn't like John Bell Sr.
Well, what the fuck was it? Like, what kind of this
We're
literally
getting
just
there.
Ah!
The word Bell Witch just started being tossed around all randomly when it's obviously some kind of no-bodied entity.
This is hurting my head.
Preposterous. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
me too.
I need some of that ether he had.
like I said, after John's funeral, it went mostly silent. You know, but Lucy would be told after John died the witch would be back in 7 years, in which it did return. But it mostly came back just to chat with John Bell Jr. Just have conversations for 3 weeks. Just sit down and have fireside conversations with him about like the Bible and things going on in the world and things to come and things that have happened. And then she promised after 3 weeks she'd be back in 107 years.
Has it happened yet?
Very specific. Well, I mean, this is 200 years ago. It must have happened. So, a book was published in 1934, which is the year that she would have come back and returned. We say she because it's a very feminine voice. So, I'm not just assuming the witch's gender. Don't start with me. So a book was published in 1934 with the notes on the supposed conversations between the witch and John Jr. Apparently he took notes while they were sitting and talking. So it wasn't out to get him, obviously. It didn't have a problem with him. It was just his dad. But the author of that book was Dr. Charles Bailey Bell, John Bell Sr.'s great-grandson. And there was no word whether or not the witch actually came back to chat with him, is what the last site I was reading said. But, dude, if the book was published when it's supposed to come back, that's about witch coming back to everyone about their prophecies. So it's the Bell Witch prophecies, probably, or something. But it wasn't addressed anywhere else. I'm just tying that together. Probably the first person to do it. If I'm not, I don't care. I didn't pay attention to much of anyone else said anything, so. Anyway, no real word if the witch ever came back there, but it is allegedly supposed to haunt that area, especially a cave near the property for really no reason with the story.
Maybe it was Old Man Withers.
Yeah, maybe. So the question is, what does Kate Batts have to do with all of this? Well, as mentioned before, Batts already had that stigma of being a witch over her head. But what happened was Benjamin Batts, Frederick's brother, who was better off than they were, he had some kind of problem with John Sr., something to do with slave selling, the sale of a slave. So another human being they were arguing over, for some reason, the moral qualm of money or something.
Who knows?
So who had the moral high ground there?
They're both assholes.
One's a pedophile, one's a slave trader. I don't care either way, they're both dicks. So, but Frederick's brother is the one that had the problem with John. But there was a misunderstanding that went around that Kate had the problem with John. So there was never any actual issue together. It was just the rumor mill went south, and Kate already having this weird stigma tied to her. You know, people kept saying that she was the Bell Witch, but in recent years, a lot of evidence argues that she wasn't. And she even outlived John by quite a few years. Now, this comes from Carlene Murray. This is from a website. I want to say it's genealogy.com. And it's from one of the forums. It's titled Kate Batts of Bell Witch Haunting Story. And this is by Carlene Murray. This is on November 18th of 2004. It says, this is a post, obviously, on the forums. Can someone give me the names of all Frederick and Kate Batts' children? They would have been born probably from the mid-1700s to 1800s in Edgecombe, Colorado, or Edgecombe County, North Carolina. I should have read my notes. I only recently became aware of the story about Kate Batts and the Bell Witch haunting story. I would like to correct some information that is posted on this family site. It is stated that the Bell family was haunted right after the death of Kate Batts. That is not true. The haunting began in 1817, and Kate did not die until 1843. John Bell, the father of the Bell family, died in 1820. So there's that link right there. That's a good chunk of time to outlive a guy. Kate was the daughter of John Williams, born 10, 15, 18, 17, and Ferriby Murphy. These are some Irish-ass names.
Yeah.
She has been, that was a typo on the website. She has been found along with her husband. Oh, that was another name. I'm like, that's not an Irish name at all.
She has been.
She has been
found.
Along with her husband Frederick in county documents as Katie. Or Katie with a C. The latter name is how I have her listed in my family records. Her given name was possibly Catherine or Catherine with a C or a K, in case you're wondering why I said it twice. I don't know, she says. John Bell's wife, Lucy, was a sister to Kate's father. Therefore, Kate was Lucy's niece. Lucy and her brother John were siblings to my ancestors, Drury Williams. That name Drury, again, it's a family name.
It's a weird name.
Their parents were John and Morning Williams. Her mom's name was Morning?
Morning? Like morning?
Your parents loved you at birth.
Oh my God.
The way, it's like that guy in Eugene when I was a kid in the phone book, there was a dude named Harold Armpit. So the way, true. The way I understand it, yeah.
Oh
the article goes on to say, the way I understand it, the ghost was asked by the Reverend James R. Gunn, and he gives his date and whatever. Who are you and what do you want? The answer he got was, I am nothing but old Kate Batts' witch, here to torment old Jack Bell to his death. And this is why the specter was named Kate, because some preacher guy apparently said it. He had no real reason to say it aside from, I can tell you exactly what happened. I can tell you exactly why he said that. I don't have to be there. I don't have to have any documentation. Just reading that, I can tell you what happened. This guy is a preacher at a small church in the area. There's a gal said to be a witch. That's exactly who he's going to blame for anything that goes awry or weird or unexplained. I know. I used to be a minister. I've seen this happen currently. It happens still. So that's what happened. Boom. So she didn't do it. No one knows who actually it was. There's some kind of entity that would prophesy and talk and have conversations, but really didn't like this guy. And if it had to do with the shooting of the animal, no one still knows why or who or how, so it's unknown. Thoughts?
Holy shit. That was just
That was a
oh
lot.
my god. Like that was so stupid though. Like that entire story was the dumbest shit.
No, that's not what I
So
meant.
stupid.
I meant thoughts on what
On which? Tell me where you want my thoughts to be. Thoughts on what specifically? Like
what everybody's thinking about. That's the only thing anyone's going to gain from this show is this glorious image of Sean Connery.
this is so stupid.
Hey,
What the
I will have you know, Zach Bagans went there and talked to the Bell Witch or something.
Are they
did.
best fucking friends now?
He did.
That's how you know about it, right?
Get the autograph?
Yeah, I
So, I
saw
don't-
the episode.
I vaguely remember. Do you remember anything about it?
I haven't seen it in a while.
Zach Bagans.
It's not like she's dangerous or anything. You can just say what's up.
I haven't seen it in a while.
There's also the idea that I think it was, or could be wrong, but I think someone found an artifact in the Bell Witch cave that they took. That looked like a little idol type
Really?
thing. Hmm? Or like a little, like a doll thing. I think it was the dudes that do Weak and Weird, the guy and gal that do that, but I could be wrong.
Oh my
I
god.
could be wrong. No, it was yeah, because they had the traveling museum of the paranormal back in the day.
I'm sure it's real. It's
What are
not
their
something they just
names?
made up and
I
grabbed.
don't know. They're cool. Anyway, so Bell Witch thoughts, demon thing,
Dude,
creature,
that
human.
oh my god.
I don't
Fake?
know about a
Well,
demon,
first off,
but
the entire house is probably on drugs or something because, holy crap, the entire
I don't
town.
think drugs were that.
I-
Well, opiate was, but I don't think it makes you hallucinate like that.
I don't like.
I think laudanum just kind of makes you dumb.
I assume that this is like one of the first ghost stories because then ghosts afterwards were like, hey, this isn't spooky enough. We can't be really
So
like
John
talking
Bell is
to people
officially
and
the first-
partying.
John Bell's officially the first person to die with paranormal circumstances
It's
as
just
the main cause of death, I guess.
I don't know what to say to this because it's stupid.
Everything is explainable with common sense stuff.
It's
oh,
Yes,
so
it's-
I don't mean to interrupt, but the Ghost Adventures crew makes history as the first paranormal TV show to investigate one of the most iconic ghost stories, the Bell Witch. So they were the first. They were the first paranormal crew to go in there.
I'm
just
less-
read a tagline. Well, okay, well there's that. They're the first ones to do it.
Nobody else did it.
I'm like 90% sure I would be less afraid if more like, do you want a drink? Like, what am I supposed to feel about
So
this ghost
I
story?
was seeing some ideas that the black liquid was actually poison.
It was probably ether
Well,
and
if the
iodine.
cat just like died after one little.
Yeah, well,
you
it
know.
wouldn't be. Well, ether probably it would have to be an amount.
Ether and iodine probably is what the mixture was.
You'd have to inhale it though. But John,
It went
the
on the
cat,
cat's
if they-
tongue
if
and it
you-
died.
it would have to have quite a bit.
If
I
his
would
wife
suspect.
did not like him and got tired of taking care of his invalid ass and fed him that poison or gave him enough
he
ether,
wasn't
he
invalid.
did.
He wasn't invalid. He was healthy.
Oh.
That's why he slipped into the coma. Was that he had started having a neurological decline? It looked like he had a neurological disorder. He'd be having seizures and getting sick, and things would happen along with these attacks from the.
So he was probably just getting poisoned. He was probably an asshole and started getting poisoned.
Yeah, there was a famous
Yeah.
scientist of some fashion around the same time that had almost identical things going on with him, and it was a neurological disorder.
But the thing is, like, this is just the story of the ghost itself is just so. It's not
What do they gain from doing this though? Is there-
nothing.
well, something. I mean, the story's out there. Like,
Well, the only gain that you could possibly think about is the fact that you can't just show up and
that's
have
my
no
point. Is if
explanation
it's
for
fake,
something.
they have to. They're not going to fake it without trying to garner some kind of attention or money.
They have
or
to
something.
do something.
He was the farm was doing well. He was a very successful farmer. He wasn't like dicking off. He was making a ton of money. He was doing very well. They were successful.
The only thing I can think of is like this. It's just so random. It's like even as like ghost stories, you know, they're all very vague and like, oh, the ghost doesn't show itself, but they don't talk. They only like whisper.
Well, there are other stories about people being attacked the same kind of way later on.
Being
Like,
kicked in the nuts by a ghost.
that was pretty good. I mean,
The
if I was
ghost
a
getting
ghost,
drunk and like
look, if I
laughing
was
and
a
partying.
ghost, if I was a ghost and some dude was threatening me in a way that he couldn't possibly hurt me, I would kick him square in the nuts and then ethereally teabag him.
This sounds like a Tumblr ghost story. Okay.
A Tumblr
It does.
fanfiction ghost
It's a
story.
Tumblr ghost fiction story of revenge. It is so poorly written and so bullshitty. It's like, oh my god.
If you are the author of a
Nobody.
fanfic, especially an erotic
About a
fanfic about the
ghost?
Blair Witch, or the Blair Witch, the Bell Witch,
Yeah.
the Bell Witch, and you've written something like that, let us know in the comments. We'll contact you because we want to read this story.
You know there's a fan fiction out there about a ghost. You
Okay,
know
but
it.
this specific one though, I don't want
Yeah.
to anything ghost.
This ghost is supposed to
Tons
like
of
it
those.
talks to people. It
Look,
laughs.
motherfucker, women marry
Where's
pirates. Okay, there's no way that's fake. So explain what happened here, honestly, instead of trying to make science be part of this. Okay.
Also, being a ghost and being dead and being able to get drunk and not have any anything happen,
I don't.
that'd be
Why
great.
do you think the ghost
Because
was
it was drunkenly laughing at his funeral.
He said it was drunk.
It was
This
singing
ghost was drunk.
drunken songs, like drinking songs.
But
They
was
was
the
probably
ghost
drunk.
drunk?
No one said the ghost was drunk, but you.
It is drunk.
No one.
The ghost is obviously drunk.
Where'd
This whole
he
thing was what a
go?
drunken person would do. None of this was like
He
I
was,
wanna-
the ghost was trying to take the dude's shoes off while he walked.
Exactly. They were drunk.
If I could be a ghost and drink and not have any repercussions from it, that'd be great.
You'd be dead.
Well, yeah. So if I'm drinking
If
and
you
I'm
have
dead,
a problem
it
with
doesn't
alcoholism, dial 1-800.
Okay, so here's what happened, right? The Bell Witch is just someone went back in
Dude.
time
Wow.
with one of those cloaks that moves like light around so you can't see them, and just gave it to one of the people, and she just walked around kicking people in the nuts.
So there are other paranormal things that happen, anomalies that happen in that area still. Do you guys know anything
Mine
about
was
those?
more believable, by the way.
Do you guys know anything about those?
No.
What?
You didn't come prepared for any of this, did you?
What?
The current paranormal things that go on still to this day.
No.
No,
What
what the
goes
hell
on?
happens to go on now? The damn witch just talked to people and gave them information. Like, wasn't doing
Is
anything
it
like
still
big.
do people still go there and
Yes.
stuff happens?
You can go to the Bell Witch, the Bell
Wait.
The
Cave,
The Bell
Bell Witch
Cave.
Cave,
The bell curve.
the Bell Witch Cave. They have a website. You can take tours. You can
Where
do
is
ghost hunting. Tennessee.
Tennessee.
You can go
Okay.
ghost hunting. You can even go tubing.
Ooh.
Tubing.
Will she go with us?
Tubing.
Will the Bell Witch be going tubing too? Because it fucking sounds like it.
Nothing says let's an afternoon of moonshine on the river and then ghost hunting in a cave.
I'm just saying.
So-
this
Maybe
seems
we
like-
can all go there one day. That'd be cool.
This whole thing just sounds
Make
like.
sure you follow the show so we can go there one day.
Please.
And we need followers. We're trying to get
We
their
need
subscriptions up.
subscribers.
We're begging at this point. Please.
Subscribe.
Please.
Anyway, I know how to get you to subscribe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mmm.
Comments for that glorious
Sexy.
We
thing.
have 100% more pictures of
All
Sean
right.
Connery and cod pieces.
Well, thank you for sticking with us
Anyone
if you've
else?
watched this. And I know you've watched because you needed some more of that Sean Connery bulge. If you stayed with us for this episode, though, thank you for watching. And we'll be back next week with a new topic that will not be the Appalachian Mountains or anything
Yeah,
out
it'll
there,
be-
most likely.
Oh, it'll be something special.
Apparently, it's something very special.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring helmets and
My
windows to lick.
birthday's coming up, so it'll be a kind of a.
I guess we're doing a birthday special for Katie.
You said we were.
I know. I'm just giving you grief.
It's-
You said we could do one for me. Jeez. Wow.
Anyway.
Calm down, Jesus, Katie.
So aggro. Anyway, please follow us on the site. Subscribe.
Look on your face. It's like I'm gonna eat both these fucking assholes as soon as the show's done.
So please subscribe. Click the like button. And then comment below. And if you have stories of the strange or anything you want to talk about, if you have ghost stories that you've encountered or anything else, just share it with us. We want to know. We want to read it on the show.
Yeah.
Have a good time. I love to read fan
Suggestions on-
stories.
Let it be
Stuff
better
to
than the
talk
Bell
about.
Witch.
I love to read listener story, viewer stories, whatever it is now.
Let it be
It's
better
not a
than the Bell Witch.
podcast anymore. So
Let it be better than the Bell Witch.
I thought you said The Village, and I was like, you're gonna get M. Night Shyamalan to try to get mad at me again. Anyway,
Again?
bathroom, bar. I used to work
Anyway,
at. Long
it's
story.
another.
True story. Long story.
Yeah.
Not the way you're thinking. Tell it later. I think I've sold the story of the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Jay, and these are.
Katie Cat.
I'm really tired, Jack.
Thanks for watching. Good night. Good nightmares.
Goodbye, buddy.
And here's some sweet dreams.